Hey everyone, welcome back to Book of Star. This is episode 3 of Meant to Be Wise, where I get to chat with some of my girlfriends about how God is preparing us for marriage. On this episode, we're talking about the importance of marrying the right guy, the guy that God has for us. And we're also talking about what happens when you don't. So, I'm here with some of my girlfriends. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Hello.
I'm in this season right now where God is preparing me for marriage, and he's like revealing to me who my husband is in dreams and visions. He's speaking to me. But then I feel like when Tracey and I were talking, it started to go on the topic of like what God has brought us through, what he has brought us from, like sometimes we are in relationships where we think that this is it. And then it ends and it's like, I don't think I'm ever going to find anyone else. And I know for me, that's how I felt. So I'm happy that we're able to have this conversation. I do want to just jump right in. And so I'll start by asking you ladies a question. This one's mainly for Tracey and Veronie. So tell us about your past relationship and any red flags that you may have missed.
I was actually in a relationship for quite some time and a really long time. And I knew something was off in the first 3 months. And in the first 3 months, I remember it was basically a story of like lying for no reason and the inability to be inexplicably honest. You know what I'm saying? And be real and be open. And it's like the ideas around omission. And allowing that to be, I'm still telling the truth, but there's so much being omitted that it is actually you not really opening up and expressing. So having had been in such a long-term relationship, I felt like it set such a standard in my life that was not healthy.
I guess I can relate to Tracey. I was guilty of ignoring the red flags because I thought that this was it. Like, this relationship was going to heal me from all the other past relationships that had not worked out. So I was going to hold on like for dear life to all the good and just keep batting away all these red flags, black flags, yellow flags, flag on the plague, or whatever flag you want to throw out there. They were being thrown, and it was being, I was justifying like the quantity over the quality of the relationship. And for all the hurt, as Tracey mentioned, and I can, concur with, for all the hurt that I thought that I was trying to protect myself from, because let me stay in this, he's going to be my knight in shining armor. He's going to heal me, where in actuality, he doesn't have the power to do that, because that is only God who can actually do that, right? So, I'm not trying to preach, but,
But you
I had to go back to God and just really seek his face and repent for putting a man in the place of God.
Say
God
that.
said, I will have no idols before me.
I feel like I went through what both of you guys went through in my past relationship. I was with my ex for 6.5 years. But like you said, Tracey, in the first 3 months, actually, I think even before that, we were friends for like a whole year. But before he started to pursue me, I already started feeling this heaviness. Like, I don't want another project to have to work on. Because at that time, I was a project assistant and I was learning how to be a project manager. And my projects were a lot. And just looking at him and just being his friend made me feel like I don't want another project that I have to work on. And, I just tried to push it out of my mind because at this point, I was 23, 24. I had declared I'm going to be in a relationship for my 24th birthday. I'm going to go out to eat with my boyfriend, so I'm like, all right, it looks like this is happening because I declared it. And when we got together in the first 3 months, the lying happened, but it was the omitting of truth, like not having your high school diploma and then telling me like, you didn't ask. And I'm like, I asked you what high school you went to. And it's like, no, I told you what high schools I went to. You didn't ask me if I graduated.
Really, that's what we out here doing? Like, that's what we out here doing? Like, really? Okay.
None of us has said yet that we got one red flag, right? We got multiple flags. We got flags over time. Dr.
Flags on the play.
Flags on all the referees.
On the flag.
And we still think, I don't know what it is in us that's broken to the point where it thinks it has one shot. That's it. And I'll segue into getting married, getting a divorce, and then getting remarried. Because in my mind, I had one shot. I married that dude, so oh well, because he's not dead. I can't get remarried. It's gonna be adultery. All kind of church lies. So I broke up with my current husband to be with my ex-husband. Okay, y'all gotta get all that. Y'all gotta get, Stop. Remember, because I told you this thing is a circle. This is not a straight line. So I dated my now husband in college. I met my ex-husband when I was graduating from college. And so my now husband had to come back to New York, and I was still in school, so that's how I met my ex-husband. But about soul ties, I was never untied to my now husband. I need y'all to get that whole.
That's good.
Because he was the husband from the jizzy.
Wow.
I was, and no matter how many dudes I dated, because I'm cute, here's the thing. We think that God doesn't have his cosmic eraser, and he does. That's just the bottom line. I mean, that's what the 66 books is about. It's about forgiveness. It's about redemption. It's about recapturing what was lost.
My ex was deceptive, but it was a desire that was like, but I do want to be in a relationship. Before him, I had never been in a relationship. He was my first love. I had never been in love before. And there was this saying that was going around, which now I'm like, never again will I listen to that saying, where it's like, God doesn't give you what you want, he gives you what you need. So I started thinking, I guess I needed a guy who wasn't all put together. I don't know what. But I mean, now that I'm older, I'm like, that doesn't make sense and it's not biblical. I don't know why people say it. They need to stop. But the first 3 months, I felt like this isn't the relationship for me, because other stuff were coming up too. And I would feel like I should break up with him. But I said, let me give it another 3 months. And then I did another 3 months. Now we were 6 months in and I still felt like I should break up with him. And I said, let me try again. And 6.5 years later, here I was still in this relationship and I was in love at this point, but I didn't feel like super happy. God really had to open my eyes, because there was a tug of war between God and my ex. Like, I felt like my ex was before God. And I felt like in order for me to be with him, I would have to pretty much tell God goodbye just so that I can be with this guy. And I didn't like that feeling. So eventually, like, God told me, break up with him.
The flags are always gonna be there when it's not God's will. To the converse, when it is God's will, right? The difference again between marriage number one and this one is that when I get a flag, it's a prompt. It's not now a flag to cut off, it's a prompt to go in. And that's the difference.
What was your healing process like with God after you left your relationship?
Wow. That's good. So I was in a relationship for about 10 years and we were living together, and I was going through like just internal turmoil. My life is empty. Like I am hollow. Like all of this is to go. Like I want out. And that's actually what was happening. I was in the midst of, committing suicide. Like I was like, I'm going to take pills and call it a day. And in that very moment, I felt like I heard the Lord, like legit, like I saw him right in front of me. It was like a cloud. That's when the Lord was like, we can't exist together. Like, he gotta go. I'm calling you.
Wow.
He gotta go. and I packed his stuff.
Woo!
Right
Hey, to the left, to the left.
And was like, oh, this can't be it. Because I was about to lose my life for this. I feel like that whole process of unpacking that with the Lord, my father had passed away. So there was that forgiving the Lord. Like that was my process.
As I was listening to Tracey, the thought that came to me was drinking death, because I was so angry with God. I was so angry with God, like I pulled out those scriptures where, God, marriage is a covenant and this and the other. And I prayed to God to heal my marriage. And, when it didn't happen, I wouldn't say I was done with God, but I wasn't real with God. What also made healing difficult before this stretch of time that I've been single was not healing, not breaking soul ties, not really flushing somebody out of your system.
You said flushing them out. God of mercy.
Out of your system. Let me speak for myself, have carried people around that we should have flushed, buried, cement, carried them over for years. That's why I would say for me, healing really couldn't take place because it wasn't just him. There was a couple of other folk that I was still attached to.
I know for me, I broke up with my ex 2 times. So the first time I broke up with him probably was like 3 years ago. I cried every day to God to bring him back into my life. God's like, you're praying this, but he's hiding stuff from you. And so one time my ex said to me, I have something to tell you. And I'm like, okay, tell me. And he tells me like, in 2015, he was cheating on me for like a whole year. And he had to admit that to me. See, I didn't know. He had to admit that to me because God kept telling him, tell her, tell her, tell her. And what broke off of me was this idea that he was like a perfect boyfriend and I was not a good girlfriend. About a year later, here's my ex and we're friends and we're doing stuff together. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm ready to start dating him again. Like in my heart, I felt like God had someone else for me for my husband. And the rebelliousness inside of me was like, Lord, forget what you have for me. I want to be with this guy. And I never even said the words. It was only a thought in my head. And 2 days later, my ex texted me a text message that he met for another woman.
Oh, shut.
Like, that's what I love about God, right? Because he gives you all your options.
He was like,
won't he do it? Won't he will?
He was like,
you can tell me, okay, fine. You want to forget the promise and take this? Let me show you what you're working with first. And after that, let me tell you, I cried so much.
My heart was so broken. I remember like driving to work crying to God, like I put myself in this situation, but can you please help me out of it? Like I need you to heal me. And like Veronie said, break that soul tie. I had to speak to it. I said, in the name of Jesus, so-and-so, I break it. And it broke off of me. I no longer felt like I had to be with him or that I even wanted to be with him. What I desired was to be whole and to like be in the presence of God. I wanted to be the woman that he created me to be. And I love it because I've been walking in that purpose for so long now that I recognize when I meet someone and my spirit is already bowing to them and not to God, that I can just be like, you know what, this is not the relationship for me. Especially
God of mercy.
That desire in me to want to be married is still there, but what happened is that desire is subject to God so that it's not an idol in my life.
I just constantly am asking God, what was so broken that I couldn't even understand the way that you did this thing? That you knew all of this and you planned all of this. You planned, like, had I not gotten married the first time, real talk, I would not respect this marriage. I would not value it. I'm just, me, okay? I would not value, I would not understand, had I not had all those years of having to heal and purge and get delivered, I would not value why this is so important. It just is, it's heavy, right? But it's simple because you value things that you pay for. You value things, the more you pay for something, the more you value it. The more you keep it, the more you protect it, right? In hearing everyone, like that's to me the common thing, like why do I heck do we think it's a one-shot deal? Who said that? Like, where is that? It's nowhere. Let's stop with the lies.
Right.
That was such a great conversation that we had to stop there. But stay tuned for part 2 because we're going to go even deeper.